Spider-Man, Spider-Man, climbing a building. What the fuck? Ah. Web swing. Cartwheel. Yeah, back, bitch. Stu, what are you doing?
Why don't you put me on the movie reviews anymore, man?
Stu, the last time I put you on a movie review, you fell asleep during the movie.
Put me on the Game of Thrones video, man. What you mean?
Stu, you haven't even finished Game of Thrones. You're on the season 3 finale.
I know, that shit is fire, but I...
Yeah, I still can't believe Tyrion died in that episode.
What?
Got him. Oh, shit. Ah. Oh, my God. Spider-Man Homecoming, directed by John Watts, the first Spider-Man movie in history to be produced by Marvel Studios. Did you kind of get caught off guard when Sony Pictures came up?
Yeah. I remember it was my birthday when they announced that. When they announced that they were going to essentially share Spider-Man, split custody.
Yeah, they have custody over Spider-Man.
It's like a really weird divorced parent thing going on.
He belongs with Marvel. He belongs in that universe.
I think he's 2 times Batman sales. That's what it is. So it's like, to not have him in the MCU, what were they doing?
It's not only their biggest name, but he, like you said, he's probably the biggest name. He's the biggest superhero.
I mean, at least in the Civil War storyline, like his decision to... is this a spoiler? Do people care about Civil War spoilers?
No.
At least in the comic, like his decision to give up his identity. Remember when Tony Stark is like, hey, everyone, do this. And when Peter Parker actually does it, people are like, oh man, this might be actually a good idea. I felt like that was a really big part of it, even though like the MCU is different because they don't necessarily have the same thing with secret identities.
Right. He's the only one now in the current universe with a secret identity.
And I like that he still has it. I feel like his secret identity is more part of him than for other characters.
What do you think of Tom Holland? I mean, we saw 30 minutes of him in Civil War. A lot of people called him the best Spider-Man of all time. A little premature, but I think this movie confirms it.
Oh, I love him. He's so great. He's literally the perfect balance between Peter Parker and Spider-Man because Tobey Maguire was like, yeah, I believe this guy got bullied in high school, but I don't think he's Spider-Man. And then Andrew Garfield was like, how did he get bullied in high school? You can't tell me that people were bullying him.
Movie star good looks. Oh, I'm a nerd. I'm a science nerd. I can't get a date.
I'm pretty sure Amazing Spider-Man starts with him getting like pushed onto the ground and someone trying to break his camera. And it's like, I don't for 1 second believe that this would actually happen to Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, he looks more like the bully than the people who were bullying him.
Yeah.
But he was a great Spider-Man under the mask.
I loved all the sarcasm. Even when they went a little, I guess they tried going dark with his whole revenge quest. Because I feel like his revenge quest was more explicit than other movies. I
really enjoyed the first Amazing Spider-Man. I hate the second one. I cannot watch it. I watched it once. Jamie Foxx, Dane DeHaan. It's just all over the place. But the original trilogy, I like all 3.
The second one is definitely my favorite.
Do you think that this one surpassed Spider-Man 2? You think this is the best Spider-Man movie of all time?
Yeah, I
do too.
It's definitely the greatest one. Because
going back to Tom Holland, it's so faithful to the comic book character.
He's, I think, 20 or 21.
Yeah, he looks like a high school kid.
And with his when he does like the American accent, his voice is slightly higher. So like he looks and sounds like he could be a 15-year-old kid who just got bit by a spider like 6 months ago.
Yeah, this movie, it had the high school feel. It felt like a John Hughes movie. That's what they were going for. And
normally it's like when they do the origin story in Spider-Man, it's like you see him in high school basically up until the point he gets bitten, and then they kind of faded out after that.
Yeah, I think in the first Spider-Man, he graduates high school at the end of that movie, right? Or even towards the middle.
Something like that, because I'm pretty sure there's a whole bit where he's living in an apartment and Mary Jane's a horrible actress. All that stuff is going on.
Right, that's predominantly the second one. But in the second and third, he's out of...
And it's like high school Peter Pan is... oh my God.
High school Peter Pan.
High school
Peter Pan doesn't age, man. Come on. He's always in high school.
High school Peter Parker is high school is part of his identity. And like, yeah, he gets older and grows, but we need to see him as the high school student first, which is what I thought this movie did really well.
Yeah, it's about balancing that I want to be a high school kid, I want to be cool, I want to get the girl, but I also have this great responsibility, to quote Uncle Ben, who doesn't make an appearance in that.
Thank God.
Yeah.
That scene where Spider-Man's going shopping, the parody scene where he's going shopping for rice and it's Uncle Ben's rice and he just collapses.
He just cries. There's one single tear.
It's like a 36-second clip on YouTube. It's hilarious.
One of the criticisms of this film is that you don't have that motivation, that Spider-Man doesn't have that motivation to be a hero in this movie. But
No.
I disagree with that.
I think it's definitely there. The fact that they don't talk about Uncle Ben makes his presence felt in that brief moment where like Aunt May is freaking out because she doesn't know where he went or anything, and
Right.
you know it's because of what just happened with Uncle Ben. Or when Peter is talking to his best friend, he's like, yeah, I can't do that to Aunt May, you know, with everything that's happened. Like, he can't even say it, which I feel is a more realistic reaction to like that kind of grief. He's a teenager.
And how many times do we have to see the origins? How many times do we have to see Batman's parents get shot?
Oh my god.
How many times do we have to see Uncle Ben get shot?
Hopefully never again.
But they added in the new element of Spider-Man. He has a father figure in Iron Man, in Tony Stark, and he's trying to impress him. He wants to be part of the Avengers, as any teenage kid would want to be. And he's very eager to get back because the way they opened it with him making a documentary of what he was doing in Civil War.
I thought that was a really great tribute
Yes.
to the fact that he's a photographer. Like, that's also a huge part of who he is. He's a photographer. Like, yes, vlogging, that would make sense now.
Yeah, 21st century, moving into 2017. That's what a kid of
Imagine
his age.
he has like a 1 million subscriber count. He's like, hey guys.
But I think eventually they will move into his career as a photographer. Maybe they'll, like you said, they'll replace it with vlogging. That
It
he
could
works
be
for,
that he works for a YouTube company.
Right.
Some channel that, I don't
like
know.
a website that's owned by Jonah J. Jameson,
Yeah.
played by Ice
And
Cube.
it's like, how do you get all these vlogs of Spider-Man? Like, what are you doing? I always did like that scene in the original Spider-Man where he rigs the camera to take pictures of himself, like in a webbing.
Yeah.
That was always cool.
Well, Jonah J. Jameson in the originals, played by J.K. Simmons, those exchanges were so good.
They're crap. 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 Mega crap. I'll give you $200 for all of them.
What do you think about the cast in this movie? I really enjoyed. I thought it's definitely the funniest movie since Guardians of the Galaxy.
I felt like it wasn't really gimmicky. It was much more situational comedy.
Yeah, it felt natural.
It wasn't like they were delivering lines. It's like the lines were normal. It was the situations that made the lines funny.
Right, similar to the first Guardians. The second one, they kind of overdid it, where it felt like everybody had to have their moment. But this one, the pacing was very smooth, and the comedy felt natural. Ned was hilarious.
I
He's
love
the
Ned.
perfect sidekick to Spider-Man.
Especially because Spider-Man is always alone. He hasn't had that kind of best friend unless you count Harry Osborn.
Zendaya, I thought was
I loved
very
her.
funny. Yeah.
We didn't get much of her, but it was enough, and especially at the end where she's like, hey, my friends call me MJ. I was like, this is perfect because now we know that she exists. She's in this universe, and we'll see more of her, hopefully.
Right, and people, it just annoys me to talk about it. You have to reinvent characters. You have to update the story for the modern day. This story takes place in Queens. We're from New York. We've been to Queens. Queens doesn't look like it looks like in the original Spider-Man movies.
It's like,
Queens looks
where
like
even
this.
were they in that first movie?
Yeah, this is what Queens looks like. If you're going to base a character in Queens, that's fine. You can still be a young kid from Queens, but...
I loved everything about, like, they just did such subtle world building. Like, he goes to the bodega, there's the bodega cat,
Yeah.
the guy speaking Spanish, like, all this stuff.
So let's talk about the villain. Definitely the
I
best
loved him.
Marvel villain since Loki. And Marvel's villains, I think this year they've done a lot better. Ego was a good villain, and now Michael Keaton as Vulture. Blue-collar villain.
In a lot of first movies, they always try to give the superhero, like, this villain that it's like, oh, I'm going to destroy the whole city or the whole world. And then it's just too much because, like, what can you do to top it from there? Especially with Suicide Squad. Like, you can't tell me that the Suicide Squad could defeat a witch who's going to destroy the whole planet. There is no way that was happening. The Vulture, I think his name is Adrian Toomes. That's his name, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't going to destroy the city. He didn't want to destroy the city. He just wanted to support his family. He was the same kind of working class background that Peter Parker is from.
They're on that same
They're
level.
like opposite sides of the same coin, essentially.
The line that I loved when they're having that one-on-one conversation in that, yeah, why are you going after me? I'm doing the same thing that your buddy Stark does. Stark made his fortune selling weapons to different countries. I'm doing the same thing. I'm not trying to, like you said, I'm not trying to take over the world. I'm not trying to destroy the city. You almost could sympathize with this villain. You can see where he's coming from. And even at the end in the post-credit scene where he chooses not to rat out Spider-Man, I thought that was really cool that he had a respect for what Peter does.
It's definitely respect, but I wouldn't say it's a goodwill necessarily because I got the vibe that as soon as he gets out or something, he's definitely going to try to take Spider-Man on himself. Yeah, he's not going to rat him out to other people because he did save his life, but it's not like he's going to forgive him. If he gets out of prison, he's probably going to try to do what he was doing before.
Yeah, I think he comes back, and that's an interesting take on it. There was a couple chances where he had to kill Peter, but he decided to just try and steal Iron Man's
that whole
equipment.
scene in the car. What I also loved is that he was smart.
Yes, he wasn't a dumb villain.
Like,
that was a great twist.
I thought he wasn't going to figure out that Peter Parker and Spider-Man were the same person, but like obviously when something that traumatic happens to your kid, like almost dying in the Washington Monument, and you realize that this one kid, Spider-Man just happened to be there.
You would think the kids would pick up on that too.
Exactly. You would think the kids would, but I'm glad he did, at least. Plus that scene was so tense. Like,
well, when he opened the door and it was revealed that Michael Keaton was her father.
My whole theater gasped.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh my God.
I did not see that. I thought he was going to be Zendaya's father.
Yeah, there were a lot of rumors that were like, oh, she's Vulture's kid.
Definitely their best villain since Ego, because I really enjoyed Ego.
They've like established like, I guess, a base point. Whole movie was essentially Peter Parker. Like he kept saying throughout the whole movie, he was like, I'm Spider-Man. But at the end, I felt like he actually was Spider-Man. I think in the Civil War clips, Tony Stark is like Spider-Man, Spider-Boy.
Well, the scene too when he has all the debris on his back.
That was tragic.
And he's like, come on, Peter. Come on, Peter. Come on, Spider-Man. That was tense too, man. I was feeling claustrophobic in that scene.
The whole movie, he's like trying to get adults to listen to him. At least like Tony Stark happy. He's like texting them. He's like, I'm letting you guys know what I can do. And then when he's like begging for them to come save him and they're still not showing up.
And he makes a lot of mistakes too.
And
he's not a perfect
good.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
And it's also that, like, one thing is, like, in the superhero world, at least, Spider-Man in the other movies would just, like, walk around a corner and then, oh, look, a bank robbery for me to, like, stop. And this one, it's like, yeah, it's boring. There's not much for me to do most nights.
Yeah, the montage in the beginning when he's just, like, helping the old lady cross the street. He's helping the guy who robs the bike and he doesn't know whose bike it is, so he leaves a note on it.
That was good.
And they did a lot of
when he gets the guy breaking into his own car.
It's like, that's my car. It's like, hey, Spider-Man, you're Spider-Man? Do a backflip. They tackled a lot of what would Spider-Man do in the suburbs? There's nowhere to swing.
That was hilarious.
That was so funny. And when he steals the car, he's hitching rides on the back of cars. They took a lot of the things that Spider-Man wouldn't be able to do, but they just never addressed them in the movies or the comics, and they were poking fun at it. They were in on the joke. And he was a rookie Spider-Man. In the other movies, he gets his powers, and he's already great. He's already the best version of himself. In this movie, he makes a lot of mistakes. He doesn't have a full grasp of his powers. I think it's such a good portrayal by Tom Holland because, like you said in the beginning, he balances both Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Especially because when you start off Spider-Man as a kid who just makes mistakes, it gives you a lot of room to grow. And as with the other movies, it sort of turns into like a villain of the week kind of deal. So you understand that Spider-Man's basically the best he can be. Like, he is at his prime form. So you just have to make the villains worse and worse, and you know that Spider-Man's going to overcome them eventually. But with these things, at least with the Homecoming, Spider-Man is not at his best, but you know he's going to get better. So it's like, what kind of villains will he be able to take on?
Right. And the next time we see him is going to be in Infinity War.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a pretty traumatic experience.
The sequel to Homecoming is supposed to literally take place maybe seconds after the last Infinity War.
Right, which is interesting. You have to
I think it's a full year after the events in Homecoming.
Okay.
It's the timeline is supposed to be that close.
So he'll be a junior in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. You have to wonder what's going to happen to him in those movies where we know he's going to get out of it. Obviously, he's the biggest character. They're not going to kill him off. But that's got to be traumatic for a 16-year-old kid. So you're probably going to see a lot of what happens in Infinity War really be the main theme of Homecoming 2.
Especially now that Aunt May knows.
What the fuck? So what would you give it out of 10?
A 9.
Yeah, I'd give it a 9.
I don't want to give it a 10 just because I feel like...
It doesn't feel like a perfect movie, but it's a perfect Spider-Man movie.